Are you ready to live boldly, full out, and on your terms? It's time to wake up, overcome your fears, and embrace uncertainty. Access your power and claim your dreams. It's time for Tuck Talk with T.L.C, the Rebel Belle. Join us now for inspiring conversation and bold self-expression for living life full out and on your terms. Now here is your host for today's podcast, the Rebelicious T.L.C.
Welcome, you all. My name is T.L.C. Actually, I am T.L.C. It's not just my name. I am T.L.C, the Rebel Belle, and Southern voice for bold self-expression. And this is Tuck Talk. As I've said before many times, Tuck Talk is inspiring conversation, I hope, with the Rebel Belle. That would be me and my guest Bells with Balls. That would be women and sometimes mystery guest men, because we do love men, who trust their power, who own their boldest voices of self-expression in the world, and share their gifts and their talents full out and on their terms. Now, I am a coach. I'm a writer, a speaker, and a radio talk show host with a passion for over-the-top inspiring and empowering my clients to express themselves fully and boldly and powerfully and, my favorite one, outrageously, and with passion, purpose, and boatloads of play. If listening to me sounds the least bit fun to you and you would like to play and engage with me, I invite you to do that at my website, www.therebelbelle.com. Now, this is usually the point in the evening where I get to go and introduce my guest, Belle with Balls. And tonight, I kind of like, I guess, I'm introducing myself, because tonight I have decided to invite you all to come and have some tea and talk with me. Now, none of you brought any tea. I hope that's no indication of whether or not you'll talk with me. So, again, I want to invite you to have some tea and talk with me at the Rebel Belle Tea Party Call. I have entitled tonight's call a little TLC, which is Transformation, Liberation, and Celebration, because I would like for us to talk about how we can transform the energy of the outworn structures in our lives. You might know the ones that I'm speaking of, the ones that keep us stuck, maybe experiencing the same old, if that happens to be something that's happening in your life. We're going to look at how to liberate, I love that word, it's kind of like freedom, liberate patterns and conditionings that are stuck in our energy field and stuck in what I'm going to talk to you about tonight, which is the matrix of your thought forms. And then we're going to do the big C, and the big C is celebrate, and that is celebrating ourselves as the magnificent creators that we are. Individuals who are here to learn to create from energy and from our heart's desires to experience joy, creativity, and, God, my favorite one, listen to this, ease. Now, I'm assuming that those of you who are listening have probably studied and mentored with lots of amazing folks, and that you have boatloads of tools of your own for overcoming your fears and claiming the life of your dreams. In fact, you might be up to your eyeballs in it and think, oh, my God, Tuck, please don't share any more with me. But you came to have some tea and talk with me, so we're going to do that anyway. I'm going to ask you all two questions. I want you just to take a really deep breath and then exhale and just play with me here for a minute, because my question to you is, are you enjoying the process of creating and manifesting your desires? Are you having fun in those moments of not having this thing in your life that you're desiring to have. In those moments where you really get that you don't have this thing yet, are you really able to embrace that feeling of not having it yet? And when I say embrace it, I mean really embrace it with the juiciness that life brings. Like, oh my God, it's not here yet, and I know it's on the way. So are you enjoying the manifestations of your desires? That's the first question. You know, I do too, and yet I still have those moments where I'm triggered, where I get stuck, where I feel not good enough, and where I feel small. And I'm not enjoying the not having of that thing. That happens a lot in my relationship. That was a singular relationship. So with that being said, the question that comes to mind for me is, you know, what keeps me in those moments from really enjoying that moment, which then takes me to the next question is, and I'll ask it of you because I could ask it of me too, what is your greatest fear? If you could pare it down to one thing and one thing only, what is your greatest fear? You don't have to tell me what it is unless you want to, but go ahead and write it down. Because the process of T.L.C., the transformation, liberation, and celebration, is about conquering, overcoming those fears, and enjoying the process. I mean, really making it fun, the effort and the struggle that's there sometimes, the depression and the anger that's there sometimes, really finding a way to make that fun and embrace it. And then partnering with that desire and the fun that comes with envisioning and imagining and creating the essence experiences that you want to have in your life. Now, when I say essence experience, I've had people stop me because they don't really get the word essence sometimes. So we're going to talk about essence and see if this rings true for you all at all. Essence to me is the feeling that I get when I experience something. So it is the feeling experience that happens to me when I'm involved in a circumstance, when I'm doing something. I am relating that or comparing that to a word called form. Form is the thing that we're doing where we get to experience essence. So when we talk about creating the life of our dreams and the life of our desires, and we're looking for this thing to come into our life, and maybe we're having a great time waiting on it, and maybe we're not having a great time waiting on it. What is it that we're waiting on? Are we waiting on this form to show up in our life like money, or the perfect man, or the perfect career? Or is it essence that we're looking to bring into our life, which is freedom and fun and connection and contribution and wisdom and peace? And all of those things. Essence describes how we feel when we're doing what it is that we love to do, when we're in awe of ourselves, actually, when we're lost in the moment. Essence is what I call the language of your spirit and the language of your soul. It represents the desires of your soul. It's how we communicate to spirit. So it's through this language of essence that the universe is able to bring to us those things that we desire. My very favorite essence word is freedom. Freedom, 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 freedom. Can you hear it in my energy when I say I love freedom? Now, how I get to experience and create this essence of freedom in my life can take on many different forms. One of the forms that it takes on for me is running. When I run, I feel absolute freedom. I don't know if you guys watched the movie Chariots of Fire years ago. When the guy was running, and you could just feel it and see it when he ran, and someone asked him how he felt when he was running, and he said, when I am running, I feel God's pleasure. And to me, that's a great example of essence and the feeling experience that it brings. So, are we all clear on essence, and essence as it relates to form? So with that being said, let's go back to the question, what is your greatest fear? Truth is, we're always creating. I don't think I'm telling y'all anything that you don't already know. We're always moving energy. In fact, truth be told, what we have in our life right now, we have created. Totally our responsibility, totally in charge of creating it. And along the same lines, we're also totally in charge of changing those circumstances if we don't like them. And how we've done that is either consciously or unconsciously, but the way I love to talk about it or think about it is that I have created it with my imagination. That just makes it a lot more fun for me. I have created my life, my imagination, and my thoughts, and that combination of many thoughts, I like to call those thought forms, have created my life as it is today. So when I talk about thoughts and I talk about thought forms, what I want to talk to you tonight is something called the matrix. The matrix of your thought forms. If you can, think about it this way. Your thoughts create a construct of energy, and that energy we call the matrix. This matrix is going to be and can be considered your literal agreement with the universe about what your reality is going to be, and it acts as a filter to allow certain things into your reality and certain things not into your reality. So if my matrix consists of thoughts and thought forms of joy and freedom and fun and contribution, all of my essence words, ease, those are the experiences that are going to show up in my life. If my matrix consists of struggle and fear and anger and doom and gloom and all that stuff, then those are going to be the experiences that show up in my reality. Again, that matrix is your literal agreement with what you allow the universe to bring to you, and you are the one that creates that matrix through your thought forms via all the experiences of your life. So you construct your matrix, therefore you create your reality, and you can deconstruct that matrix, release any and all thought forms that are anything less than love, and then recreate that matrix with all of those essence words and all of your desires for joy, creativity, ease, freedom, flow, and abundance. That's the part that we're here to celebrate. That's the part that we're here to celebrate. Are y'all still with me? Can I get a hoo-ha? Hoo-ha!
Hoo-ha!
Okay, good. I'm going to have another little sip of my tea. I am so sorry y'all don't have tea. Then you could sit with me. Okay, so here we are at our little tea party. We're talking about transformation, liberation, and celebration. In your handout, I gave you a little visual that we're going to play with and use this evening. And then I gave you the handout with lots of little lines and words on it, so you were free to write down whatever it is that we're talking about and take notes on your sheets. But here's going to be the fun part. You wrote down what your greatest fear is. And what we're going to do tonight is look at a way to face that fear. And look at ways maybe that we don't face that fear. We hide from that fear, and maybe how we can even observe and know when that fear comes up in the future. Facing fear to me is facing the experiences in my life that cause me to go off. Now, I'm sure that people close to me understand what it is when I say, and I hear a chuckle in the background, when Tuck goes off. I call that getting triggered. I call that getting my buttons pushed. I call that being reactive to a circumstance. So when I face that trigger event, what I know that I'm doing, when I observe that trigger event, what I know I have in that moment is the opportunity to face something that I call my issue. An issue to me is something that blocks my flow. Again, if we have things in our life, if we love the fact that we don't have things in our life yet, great. However, if we're in that place where we feel like we are creating with effort and struggle and the flow is not there, something's blocking it. I'm here to tell you what's blocking that flow is your issue. Now, some of us may have issues about money. Some of us may have issues about partnerships and relationships. Some of us may have body image issues. And some of us just may have life issues in general. And here's the truth, and this is just the truth. Not having the money that you desire has nothing to do with the money. It has everything to do about your money issues. Not having the relationships that you desire is not about how others are treating you, what you can have, and it's entirely about your relationship issues. Not having the body that you desire is entirely about your body image issues, And not having the life that you desire is entirely about your issues. But issues do three things. They keep us out of present time. They come from deeply seated fearful emotions. And they just really do create a lack of flow. What happens to me when I get triggered sometimes and I'm not in present time because that issue has just knocked me unconscious and I'm out of the present moment, I begin to focus on the form in front of me, and very often I begin to blame that form. I get triggered. I go into an emotional reactive flow. I hold my breath, which just takes that emotion that I'm flowing and crystallizes it in my body. I get focused on blame. What I don't do is observe and face my issue. You know, when I talk about issues sometimes, it's like telling people or telling myself that there really is no boogeyman in the closet. It's just an issue. I used to hear, I don't know if it was from my mother or my teachers, you know, God will put things in front of you over and over and over again until you get it right. And I think I heard that so much it just actually started to annoy me. But there's really a gift in that statement, and there's really a gift in our issues. When we understand how to identify them and where we find them, and how you identify your issue is clearly just to observe when you're triggered. So your issues, and this is what we've talked about, from this day forward, and you know, you all get this. This is just one way of doing things. Please don't hear me preaching to you tonight about this particular modality and tool and saying this one is the one. It's just one way of looking at visually and metaphorically, I think, how we can observe trigger events and issues and fears and release them to the quantum field and get on with our purpose and vision for our life. But know that your issues live in that matrix. And remember, the matrix is your literal agreement with the universe about what your reality will be. Now, that's big. That's big. So from this day forward, if you have what you have, great. If you don't have what you have, you're going to find the reason for not having it in your matrix. And we're going to talk about how to go into that matrix, deconstruct it, release it in a beautiful and simple way, so that we can get on with allowing the universe to bring the resources to us that align with who it is that we are. So we talked about issues. We talked about fear. I'm going to tell you something that I believe about fear that you may already know, and that is that I believe that fear is your greatest friend. Fear is your ally. It's the greatest tool that you have for transforming the outworn structures in your life and liberating yourselves from the past conditionings that block the flow and keep you from celebrating, you know, the magnificent person that you are. Fear's going to do three things for you. It's going to remind you when you're triggered, hey, I am not in present time. It's going to remind you, I wonder where I am in the future, worrying about whether or not I'm going to have enough of this or enough of that, whether I'm ever going to find the right man, whether I'm ever going to look the way I want to look, blah, 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 blah. Or it's going to have us in the past going, oh, my God, why did I do that to her? What if she doesn't like me? Why did I do that? Fear's also going to tell you quite clearly, guess what, that you are not in touch with your heart's desires. You're not in touch with the essence, words, and feelings that connect you to your spirit and your soul and bring to you what it is that you want. So what do we do about it? You will take out your cute little point of attraction mandala play sheet that looks like it's got this big old circle in the center of it.
And it's got the Rebel Belle in it.
It does. Thank you for recognizing me. I so appreciate that. Before we go there, I want to say a little bit about the mind. When you live your life, do you feel like mind has dominion over your spirit, or do you feel like spirit has dominion over your mind? Because we can't actually have it both ways. Think of it more as who's controlling the vehicle, who's driving the car. It's not like they both can't exist. Who's in control? Okay, if mind let's say if mind is not in control, if mind runs unsupervised, if we're unconscious, we're going to create from effort and struggle. We're going to think we're controlling the resources out in our world. We're going to create from what it is that we don't want. We're going to create from our out-of-power needs to feel safe, to have value. The universe does what the universe does. Most of us, and I'm not talking about you guys, I'm saying collectively in the universe, what most of us think we're doing is controlling the resources by forcing energy and making things happen sometimes. Forcing a form. It's kind of like the difference a minute ago when I was talking about essence and form. If I get so focused on a particular form, just say I want to achieve a certain thing, and I'm pushing the energy to make that happen. I'm pushing probably because I don't think I have value. I'm trying to prove myself. I want to have power over someone. I want to feel like I have some sense of control over my life. That's what I mean when I say mind has dominion over spirit. If I say, what is it that I really want this form to bring me? Peace of mind, abundance, freedom, connection, contribution. And that's what I look for in whatever form comes to me. Then spirit has dominion over mind. Mind is basically supervised. What mind gets to do for me then is manage that ebb and flow of resources and keep me safe and from harm, but do it in empower ways of meeting my needs for power, safety, and value. When I talk about mind having dominion over spirit, I'm thinking more in out-of-power ways. To feel like it's in control, to not trust the universe, that when I am aligned with my reason and for being here, that those resources are naturally going to come to me. It is more about that. So that when I say mind has dominion over spirit or spirit has dominion over mind, that's how I speak of it. Now, how can and this is just one of the ways that I like to play around with the concept of allowing my spirit to have dominion over mine. I have come up with what I call my 3 Ps, passion, purpose, and play. That's what I talked about at the beginning of the call, passion, purpose, and play. Passion to me is being who I came here to be. It's being my authentic self, and sometimes that word annoys me because I think, well, what the heck does it mean to be authentic? It means to be who I'm happy being in the moment, not who I think that everybody around me wants me to be. So it's immersed in the essence of who I am and loving that and embracing that and being that. That's passion. Purpose is taking that passion and that being the authentic me and doing what it is that I love to do, doing what it is that blows my skirt off. It's doing that thing where we get lost in time and space. That's purpose. And play, when we are being our authentic selves, doing what it is that we love to do, we then can have those essence experiences that rock our world and rock our soul. That, to me, is a fabulous way to play in the world. We're going to take that over to this point of attraction mandala play sheet, because what we want to do in this world that we're looking at, we want to do it with passion, purpose, and play. If you can look at this drawing, this visual, from a micro perspective and a macro perspective, there you are. Nan so generously said, oh, look, there you are in the center of the circle. My mother used to tell me that I was not the center of the universe, and I, now beg to differ. Because I am. We are all the centers of our own universe. So you can look at the visual that way and say, okay, there I am, little me in the center of the universe, and everything is flowing to me and through me. And hopefully I'm going to show you where in your matrix the issues get stuck that disallow the resources from your soul and from your higher guides, keeps them from coming into your world and bringing to you what your heart desires. The other way you can look at this is just saying, wow, this is like a cell, just one cell of many cells in my body. So what happens in one cell is happening in every cell, and what's really happening in the inside of my body is what shows up and is reflected externally for me as my reality and my experience. So taking a look at the graphic, there you are, center of your world. There's a line, if you all see it, the first circle that circles you in the center of your own little universe. If you want to, take a pencil and draw and darken that circle. That circle represents the energetic boundary that you came in with fully intact and in place. Think of that as your energetic boundary. All kids come in unconditionally loving, fully in their energetic flow. They're happy, they're sad, they're angry. They don't judge whether they're happy, they're sad, or angry like I do. It just is what it is. Then something comes along and it interrupts that emotional flow. The child has an experience or a circumstance that happens that just kind of catches them off guard. They don't understand it. And what it does, it stops that energetic flow. We can say it upsets the kid, it frightens the child. We can say maybe even they're traumatized. But at that point in time, that little child makes something up. They create a thought. They create a thought form. And most times, that thought form is rooted in fear, because what just happened was outside of the understanding of that child. It scares them. It frightens them. So they create a thought form that is rooted in fear. It's an emotional fear that's almost rooted in a matter of life and death, because children don't know any better sometimes. In neuroscientific terms, you can say that an emotional pathway is created in the brain. A neural net is created in the brain. And that neural net actually has a chemical and an emotional component to it, because every thought has an emotional component to it. So suddenly that child now has an emotion, a thought form and an emotion that is of something less than love. It's something maybe traumatic. It carries fear. It carries whatever that thing is that's less than love. The child does that and makes that up because the mind thinks that it's protecting you. It believes in thinking this thought and reacting this way that it's protecting you. Here's what I want you to visually see that it does. On that line that you circled, that you drew around you, that created your energetic boundary, draw a circle. And what the circle is going to represent is a hole in your energetic boundary. You're going to draw a little circle on the boundary, almost like a hole in the boundary. Think about you with an energetic field.
Where do we put the circle?
You just pick wherever you want to on that energetic boundary. Because by the time you get through, Nan, that boundary probably looks like Swiss cheese. Because you have all of these holes in your energy field that were opened up because something happened where you had an emotional reaction and you were traumatized, and you suddenly began to lose power and energy from inside that energetic boundary. You begin to lose energetic power and energy to that event and that experience. You begin to lose power and energy to what we're going to call the matrix. You know, don't you feel like you leak energy sometimes when you fret and stay anxious about something? I mean, we feel drained, right? It's going out through these little holes in your energetic boundary.
Can these holes be repaired or sealed?
Oh, yes. Yes, they can. That's what we're going to talk about. That's the good news. That's the C for celebration. On the outside of this circle, on the very outside of this circle, you're going to see it's about a ½ inch thick. It's the outside ring on this circle. I want you guys to label that the matrix. Remember when we talked about the matrix earlier? We talked about the matrix of your thought forms that create your literal agreement with the universe about what your reality will be. Because you've told the universe to create your life experience based on what you have in your matrix. You got you got all kinds of stuff in your matrix. But what you want to see here is when energy and power is lost through that little hole, it creates a bridge to your matrix, and that issue gets lodged in your matrix. So you can draw a little line from the circle, the little opening, the little hole that you drew in your energetic boundary. Draw a line from there to your matrix. Well, you're going to take the hole in your energetic boundary, the one that's going to end up looking like Swiss cheese, and you just draw a line straight out to the outside lining of your universal circle. That's your matrix. And here's where the good news begins to start. You got little Swiss cheese holes in your energetic boundary. It's leaking power and energy that's locked in your matrix. You just ask the question, well, can we close it up? Yes, we can. When you are triggered, what's triggering you is this issue. That hole that's in your energetic boundary that creates the Swiss cheese look, every single one of those holes in your energetic boundary, think of it as a target, like a bullseye. When you play archery, you know what the target looks like. That's got the 3 circles, and you're looking to hit the center of the circle. Mm-hmm. Every single one of those circles and holes in your energetic boundary becomes a target. It's like a bull's eye on the surface of your energetic boundary. It acts like a magnet, and this is a really good thing. It begins to attract people, events, and circumstances into your life that are going to trigger you, that are going to cause you to emotionally react to something. I mean, it's like a bullseye walking around in the world saying, you know, trigger me, trigger me, trigger me, trigger me, trigger me. And that's a really good thing, because when you're triggered, now you know, remember, now you know when you're triggered that the thing for you to do is to be in present time, to stop, to take a deep breath, to come present, to be with what is, to face that pain, to face that fear, to face whatever it is that you're feeling, because there is no boogeyman in the closet. Breathe, because remember when we were traumatized by that issue originally, we stopped breathing, which actually crystallized and embedded that issue in our matrix. The way to release it is just to breathe. So the simplicity of this and deconstructing it and closing the hole up is when you observe that trigger event, when you observe it, you get to take a deep breath. You get to ask a question, what is my issue? What's really going on here? What's my fear? And breathe in and breathe out and simply release that thought form, because that's what it is that's coming up, right? A thought form. Oh, my God, he doesn't like me anymore. Oh, my God, I'm running out of money. Oh, my God, I'm doing this again. Those are just thought forms that come up, right? On an in-breath and an out-breath, you get to release that to the quantum field. Over time, that closes up that hole in your energetic boundary. Some are going to get closed up immediately, but you know those deep core issues, like the ones that I have, you know, around I call them my daddy issues, those take longer time. You know, people talk about when you get triggered, just, you know, be present, just be present. And there's a lot of validity to that. If you look at the visual that we have here, you know you're triggered, you stop, you breathe, you go into the inquiry, you ask, what is my issue? To me, that's working on the issue. To me, that's actually observing and looking at ways to conquer your fear, to deconstruct the matrix. To simply breathe and stop and be in present time doesn't really support you in collecting all of the power and energy from this matrix and bringing it back into present time with you and closing up this hole. Yeah, it's a process. That's really what I'm saying. It's a process, not necessarily a one-time thing.
So it can just keep happening and happening until that hole's closed.
Exactly.
And every time the more present we are, the more aware we are, and the more we allow whatever those feelings are, we can start to realize that they're lies and go forward.
That's correct. That's correct. That's how come on your worksheet I said that there's steps for TLC and there's a process for TLC. The steps for transformation, liberation, and creation are simple. It's to conquer your fear. It's to overcome fear. It's what we came here to do. I don't mean we came here, oh, my God, to trudge through life and conquer our fear. But we did. We thought this would be a fun exercise. We really did. Because once we conquer those fears, then we get on with really playing full out, full tilt boogie, as my friend Jennifer says, and create and play with the resources and the energy that are here to play with. So to overcome our fear, number one. Number two, to work on our issues. And we now have a cute little visual and a very easy way to do that, right? Y'all are supposed to say yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, very good. Invest in essence. That's the third step. That means, my goodness, find your essence words. Larry, I don't know if you're on mute or not, but I know you have your essence words. Again, mine are freedom, fun, spiritual community, connection, contribution, and flow. What are your essence words?
Joy, creativity, ease, fun, freedom, and completion.
Completion almost doesn't sound like an essence word.
No, but I've added it this year.
Okay. What does completion bring you?
Really a sense of ease, a sense of clarity.
So overcome fear, work on our issues, invest in essence. And then, number 4, be patient with fruition. I'll say that one again. Be patient with fruition. I'll say it again. Be patient with fruition. Because sometimes it takes energies a while to align. It takes us a while to close up these holes and to align. I'm going to take you through the dimensions of your energy because I'm going to show you why maybe you're not attracting what it is that you want, assuming that you're not, because I'm not saying that you're not. When you're looking at this visual and you step outside your energetic boundary, you come to a layer of your energy, and they'll sound linear, but they're not linear, but just hear them that way for now. The first layer to your energy field is the layer that holds your purpose for being here. You have a purpose for being on the planet. You came here to be your authentic, beautiful, loving, vivacious, rebellious, freedom-oriented self, doing what you love to do so that you could experience your essence. My purpose for being here is to be a catalyst for transformation. I know it. I feel it. It's just who I am. So the first layer is purpose. If you move out a layer, and you can even label these on the drawing if you want to, the next layer is the layer of intention. It's where spirit begins to inform matter. When you came in to play this time, you came in with an intention or a purpose for being here. And it's in this intention dimension, that form actually begins to coalesce around your energy-based intention, the one that you have for being here. You're almost like a little clump of clay. I have my teacup here. The teacup is a form, right? Someone might look at this teacup and say, oh my God, it is a cup of beauty. This is a form that's been created because I want to experience beauty. That's an essence word, right? The form cup has coalesced around the essence of beauty. If I take a sip of my tea, I might say to you, I like this cup because it's a drinking utensil for me. So the form again is the cup. The essence that it brings me, I'll say in Larry's word, is completion. It's satisfying me because I can use it to bring satisfaction to me. Those are two different essences or energies that come from the same form. You are the same way. You are here as a form. And based on how you hold your energy and how you hold your intention, Spirit is going to coalesce your energies into this unique form that's you. And we're always creating and recreating ourselves in this form. The next layer that you come to is that one that we're calling the matrix of your thought forms. And the matrix of your thought forms, I'll say it ad nauseum, is your agreement with the universe about what your reality will be. It's where all your trigger events lie. It's where all your relationship, career, money, and fear issues live. It's in that matrix layer. Step out beyond that layer and feel the expansiveness of it. Can you feel it? Can you just feel the expansiveness once you step beyond that matrix of your thought forms? Because beyond your matrix is where all the resources in the universe exist. It's everything out beyond that circle. It's expansive. There is no limit to it. It's unlimited. So take your pencil and draw arrows toward this little cell, which is, the round circle. I'm going to call it a cell. Just draw arrows toward it all over your page. That is the universe, the God force energy flowing and bringing resources to you and through you all the time if you can but let it in. Your soul wants to work in partnership with you. Your soul wants to bring you resources. But remember, your matrix is your little agreement with the universe about what resources you're going to let through. If your matrix consists of thought forms of joy, creativity, ease, freedom, fun, the ones that Larry and I mentioned, man, the resources are just going to pour through. If the matrix has thought forms of fear, anger, judgment, hatred, whatever is there less than love, some resources may trickle through, but the ones that you're really waiting to align with can't come through. So as you deconstruct and reconstruct, I'll say as you deconstruct your matrix from the thought forms of anything less than love and reconstruct them with all of your thought forms that root from your essence words, the resources are going to pour in. Does that make sense? When you look at it visually, it's so simple. We lose power and energy to the matrix in those places where we're looking to be healed. And, we set our energy systems up in such a beautiful way. We're always either in growth or we're always either in protection. We either have the boundary intact or there's a hole in that boundary where we're leaking energy. And our exercise here is just to observe when we're triggered. And when we're triggered, say, now I got something to work on. I always think that is so much fun when I get an issue that I can work. Don't I, Larry? I love issues because I know that that's a moment of absolute transformation, liberation, and celebration for me because I am breaking my agreement with the environment. I'm not looking out there to the environment and saying, you are reminding me who I am because I can think bigger than you. I can think more expansively than you. Joe Dispenza says we have to think greater than the environment that we live in because the neural nets that are implanted in our brain, which I equate with the matrix, creates our environment. And if we can think bigger than what's in there, we're going to bring all kinds of amazing resources into our life and create a new reality. It's pretty cool, isn't it? So, your process is to observe when you're triggered. Live in the inquiry. When you're triggered, ask the question, what's my issue? What's my lesson here? What's my chatter? And write it down. In fact, on the issue tissue worksheet that you have, I put that in your little handout packet. Can't wipe your nose with it, but you can work on an issue with it. It's your issue tissue. You can, at the top of that sheet, when you have some time and an issue or a circumstance comes up that you want to change, write it on the top of that sheet. Now, again, when you're triggered, write it down. The moment of that trigger, chatter is going to come up. You're going to have an emotional reaction. All of your fears and judgments are going to come up. What you want to do in that moment, again, is live in the inquiry, ask what is my issue, what's my chatter, write it down, what are my fears, what are my judgments, and all the while, this is step 3 in the process, remember to breathe. It's imperative that we breathe. Just breathe. Every time I feel myself getting tense, I say just breathe. What you're going to do is write, if you can get to a place where you feel calm, you've been in the inquiry for a little while, you've been breathing, flip it in that moment. Just start flipping things and ask, what's possible here in this moment? What's something that I would least expect to happen in this moment? What essence would I like to distill from this moment? What is it that I really want to feel? Because if you worked on your issue tissue, my guess is if you actually sat down and wrote the facts of what was happening in front of you and compared that to the fears and judgments that you wrote down, you'd have a boatload more fears and judgments than you do about the facts. What we do is something happens, we have all these fears and judgments about it, and then we live in the fear and judgment place rather than just observing the facts. We get all carried away with our feelings and emotions, the ones that are coming up for us, and we forget to observe, we forget to flip, we forget to move into that place of looking at what it is that we want to create rather than the chatter that's coming up in our head. So ask yourself, what's the essence that I want to have from this moment in time? How do I want my mind to support me in this moment? What are my highest needs? What are my enlightened needs for power, safety, and value? My experience has been with this one simple exercise, using the issue tissue, understanding how the trigger events work, understanding how the matrix works, understanding that the holes in my energetic boundaries are targets, bullseye, attracting to me people, situations, and circumstances that give me the opportunity to transform those outworn structures in my life, liberate myself from those fears and conditionings so that I can celebrate and move on with my purpose and vision for being here. It's really that easy. And you can do it all on an in-breath and an out-breath. You can do it in real time. You can do it in meditation. So the fifth step in the process for transformation, liberation, and celebration is a whole other phone call, so we're not going to go there. But that's being really, really clear on your purpose and vision for your life. Purpose and vision are going to align you with all of those resources that are now flowing in through your matrix, because your matrix contains only the thought forms of joy, creativity, and ease, freedom, fun, spiritual community, connection, contribution, and flow, and whatever your essence words are. So, here endeth the lesson for today, you all. Any questions or comments?
Well, I can just see that thought that I have is if you can develop this common language amongst those you're in relationship with, when you're triggered, sometimes you don't see you're triggered because you're so in it.
Absolutely.
That if you can get them to stop you and say, now, wait a minute.
You know what, Nan, that's a great point. That's a beautiful point. Dr. Michael Rice, one of his presentations was around relationships, and he had this relationship statement called the commitment. And that was the foundation of the commitment that, say, Larry and I would make to one another. I would commit to Larry that in those moments when I am triggered, I would not hold him responsible, that he would hold me in the place of, the highest place of love and understanding. That was the commitment, that we would work on that together, that I would get that I had an issue and I was projecting that onto him. And he would hold the space for me to work on that issue, and we both know what's going on in that process. So when two people do get it, it works beautifully. I thank you so much for joining me to have some tea and talk with me, even though you let me talk, because we know how Tuck loves to talk when she does Tuck Talk. This is Tuck Self, the Rebel Belle, and Southern Voice for Bold Self-Expression, giving you a hoo-ha, that's the Rebel Belle yell, and gosh, hopefully inspiring and empowering you to be your boldest, most outrageous, most playful, passionate voice of self-expression in the world. Definitely full out and on your terms.